right, so shalom. We back at it with another interview, and have a special guest today. We have the Minister of Wellness. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you again,
yes,
man. You know, last time we did it. This part 2.
Yes.
Part 1 couldn't go up on YouTube, but you know, we're gonna put this one on YouTube hopefully, and then people be able to look at the descriptions to check out part 1. So yeah, man, we out here. I want you to, before we really get started, can you introduce yourself to the people, let the people know who you is and your objective and everything that you got going on?
Yes, my name is Nathaniel Jordan. My title is the Minister of Wellness. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, USA. I became the Minister of Wellness in 2015 is where my journey started. It revolves around my father, the late great Pastor Eddie Jordan Jr., under what I call the European slave version of Christianity, being taught that he could bless his food in Jesus' name. He ate himself to death. He had 9 strokes and died at age 66. After he passed away, I had a great revelation from the Lord concerning nutrition, health, and wellness in the scriptures. And that revelation transformed my life. In 2015, I quit my career as a St. Louis City police officer. Before that, I was in the United States Marines. And ever since 2015, my full-time mission has been educating the body of Christ, regardless of denomination, that we must eat to live, and that our health is a very important issue, and that we're worshiping our stomach and we're worshiping food. So I'm the founder of the Minister of Wellness Ministries. We teach biblical principles to eradicate obesity and all disease. And I'm also the founder of the Health Reformation Church of Jesus Christ the Nazarene, which maybe we can get into why I title it as Jesus Christ the Nazarene, because that's something that most people are completely unaware of, the true origins of Jesus Christ, Yahshua HaMashiach.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Nazarenes, because I didn't want to go into this, but but yeah, what the world knows Jesus or Yeshua or Yeshaya, whatever dialect, Hebrew dialect you want to say it in. But the thing is, Yeshua himself, he didn't eat meat according to historical references when they're dealing with the early church, like the Ebionites and the Nazarenes and things like that. But that's interesting though. Now, you said some interesting things, and I got this trumpet right here because we're gonna be sounding the alarm. We sounding the alarm with the medical issues that's going on throughout the world. And how it's a diabolical plot against these third world countries. To actually feed these people poison, and actually in the first world country to feed people poison. And all of that. So let me just jump right into these questions, bro, and just do what you do, man. Now, health is wealth. Can you elaborate on that saying, health is wealth? So how important is that saying? And it's not just a saying. Can you elaborate to the people on that?
Well, you can't do anything if you're not healthy. You can't. What can you achieve? And whatever goals, whatever mission, whatever vision you have for your life, you can't accomplish that if you're sick. So health is wealth. If you take away the W, it's the same word. So you can't have one without the other. Health is everything. It should be our faith in the Most High should be 1A, and then our health should be 1B. They're one and the same, because if you're truly serving the Most High, if you truly have a heart to serve the Lord, then you should be trying to be as healthy as possible.
Yeah, right on.
Because whatever you're trying to do, you can't do it without your health.
Nah, facts. That's facts, though. That's facts. Interesting, very interesting. And then before I go into some other questions, we out here in Kenya, okay? Yes. Let the people know we out here and around Kenya doing working with orphanages, working, with different churches, and just trying to, be able to establish certain principles out here, medical principles, just certain ethical principles out here that can lead our people to a better living, environment, living and eating environment. Can you elaborate to the people the work that you do out here, in Kenya, the things that you do out here?
Yes. So the first Friday of every month, we do a food drive. I conduct my missionary work through a Kenyan-based company called Edulite International, which is headed by a dear friend and brother of mine, Kelvin Machi, born and raised right here in Kissy. So through EduLite, every first Friday of every month, we raise the funds to do a food drive. We do it for the homeless, or what they call here the street children. Then the second Friday of every month, we go into the slums and we gather hundreds of girls who can't afford sanitary pads, and we give them sanitary pads. However, of course, me as the Minister of Wellness, we do them organic, which does cost quite a bit of money, but we can't give them toxic sanitary pads. So we do that the second Friday of every month. Then also we preach in schools. So we've preached in many massive schools all over the country. So we do that. We just got done with a 3-day youth conference for free in Kentagella. And then the orphanage. I fully support New Roots Children's Home in Athey River. And right now I am seeking to raise the funds to purchase land and build our own orphanage, and also an educational center. We're very close to purchasing land, and once we get the land, we'll start building.
That's dope, man. That's cool. And I, definitely we want to work with you. The NGO, we want to work with you to actually help build, medical institutions and schools. These things, I feel like if we work together, we can have not just one school, not just 2 schools, not just 3 schools, but we can have 5, 10, 15 schools and putting these children in school, and not only giving them education, but giving them a alternative, better medical, route. And this is the importance of it, because us as the children, we're at NGO. The goal is for us to unite our brothers and sisters, especially in the Hebrew Israelite diaspora. And, you minister wellness, but a lot of people don't know you're a Hebrew Israelite too. Right. You understand who you are. You understand that. So let me ask you this question. Let me ask this. Do you believe the revolutionary Hebrew Israelites, like you and I, do you believe that we are the real life superheroes in this society? Can you elaborate on that?
I believe that the Hebrew Israelite that not understands our African heritage, but also understands the Nazarene Ebionite heritage of Yeshua is the superhero, because now we're putting it all together. So when we truly understand the real message of Jesus Christ, which is a message of living in a manner that exudes the mercy, justice, and love of the Most High to all of his creation, which includes the animals, the environment, and the planet. When we truly understand that and reconnecting with the circle of life, absolutely. Because now we've completed the circle of truth. So we don't want to just stop at our racial heritage, but then we're contributing to the destruction of the planet.
Exactly.
That's not going to get the job done. It's interesting, brother, because, on Passover, our people have turned it into Easter. Because we because I see these pastors, Passover celebrations, and they're doing the same thing that we used to do in Christianity during Easter. It's just that they traded the ham for a lamb. And that's not going to get the job done, which is why, as the Minister of Wellness, is interesting, because the Catholic comes to me with heart disease, the Baptist comes to me with heart disease, and the Hebrew Israelite comes to me with heart disease. So yes, sir. But so the question is, yes, the correct original, when we understand, again, Yeshua the Nazarene, and we implement that, yes, I do believe that.
Okay, I mean, understanding the teachings, those teachings, and those, like, if people walking in a messianic, figure, walking in that attribute, because like I said, that even goes with the diet, you have a whole Hebrew Israelite community like Demona, shout out to Demona, who changed, they don't eat meat, they changed their diet. They've been living a meat-free diet, a plant-based diet for over 50 years now. Understanding that diet and understanding, other things, those things will open up your mind to understand, that, for those who believe in Yeshua and for those who don't, we have to walk in the messianic, attributes. We have to walk in those examples, so we can be able to, like you said, we are those superheroes. We are, because we come in not just for the change for our people, but for the change of the world in general. So very interesting, man. Mr. Wellness. All right, let me ask you this though, Minister. All right, so now, why is coming together and creating health program institutions throughout Africa, not just throughout Africa, throughout the world? Like, why is that important, you know what I'm saying, for today's society? Why is that important?
Because the European medicine industry is killing people. It's a genocidal industry that's based on profit, not based on people. All they care about is money and controlling people, and they're at war with the Most High. They hate nature. That system and the people who control that system, they hate nature. They hate the Most High. And so once we awaken to the truth, we have to build medical institutions that do what the word medicine is supposed to mean, which is to heal.
Yeah.
And the current system does not heal. It performs in a satanic manner. They kill, steal, and destroy. Manipulating God's nature into synthetic pills that give you 1,000 side effects. Yeah. That's satanic. Telling you you're gonna die in 6 months unless you nuke your body. That's satanic. So a pole with 2 snakes wrapped around.
Be able to do that. You know, we should be the ones to be like, you know what, let's build this institution. You know, let's build this. And it's not hard to do it. It just, people need to come together and think. You know. So now, let me ask you this. What's 3 important things people need to know about fruits and vegetables? Can you tell the people 3 important things that people need to know about fruits and vegetables?
Well, the first thing that you need to know is that it is the original diet that God designed for us. Is Genesis 1:29, the fruit with the seed in it. And it is actually stated as the diet that will be in the end. However you interpret Revelation chapter 22 verse 2, it is clear that the kingdom of Yahshua will be a kingdom where we thrive off of fruits. There will be no more bloodshed. So that's the first thing. It is the optimal way of eating. Number 2, we are in the optimal perfected sense, we are fruitarians. Everything about our physiological design is the consumption of fruit. And so what I have found, brother, since teaching fruits, is that I have helped people heal from diseases that vegetables can't heal them from. So advanced diseases like advanced Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, kidney disease, these require fruit fasting. So everything about us physiologically is designed to consume fruits. And then number 3, the most important thing about fruits and vegetables is that is our medicine. Medicine is in fruits and vegetables. The medicine for the healing of our body, as stated in Sirach 38:4. That's a book that a lot of believers aren't familiar with. Sirach, or also called Ecclesiasticus, not to be confused with Ecclesiastes. So the Most High created medicines from the earth. He who is wise will not outpour them. So if you're looking to reverse high blood pressure, and all black folk have high blood pressure, stroke prevention, heart attack, gout, kidney disease, another big one in our community, the cancers, your medicine is in God's nature. It is blasphemy to believe that man can create a technology that takes away our ability to trust in the Lord. And that is the blasphemy of Big Pharma, because it misplaces people's trust from God by saying God didn't give us what we need. He did not create us correctly. So we have to come in and we have to correct God. It's absolutely blasphemous, brother, when you just even think about human life and how it develops. You know, I mean, it's just insane to when you really think about the intelligence of God, how a human being can believe that they can have solutions for our health greater than the Creator himself. I speak about it too much and I'll start preaching. Nah,
I mean, do your thing, man. People need to hear it. They need to hear this, you know, because this we trying to put this stuff out in the airways, man, you know, in the highways and byways, so that way people can be able to, you know, we plant the seeds. Maybe they may see this and maybe they may, you know, start changing their diet, you know. But like you mentioned, you know, that this is going to be the diet that we're going to have. If people dealing with, you know, the Bible, you know, in Revelations, you know, this is the diet that we're going to have in all at the end.
Yes.
So if that's the case, then where do it start? You know, we should start it. We should be starting it now, because it's not gonna just magically just happen. We go, all right, now you go vegan now. You know, nah, it don't happen like that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to start somewhere. You know, and it starts now, so our children can grow up and not have to worry about eating animal product. You know, I know people who never ate animal product at all in their whole life. They like 30 years old now, 35, 40 years old, 50 years old. They never ate animal products. You know what I'm saying? So we want to get to that level to where our children is growing up in society to where they're not dealing with eating animal products at all. You know, so. And it starts now.
And it'll save the planet because we killing the planet.
Exactly.
Animal agriculture is the biggest destroyer of the earth.
And the animals need to live just as much as we do.
They'll
a lot of people don't. Yeah, exactly.
Right there in the scriptures.
If a lion gonna be able to kick it with a what it say? A lion gonna be eating straw. And then a baby, a little boy, a little kid gonna be able
to play with poisonous snakes.
Yeah, how is that so? If we eating the animals, we can't be eating that. They got the animals got to know. Oh, they not eating us no more.
No more tears, no more crying, no more pain.
Then we can go back to Dr. Doolittle, you know, where we can actually be, you know, at one with the animals again. You know what I'm saying? They're not at one with us. Why? Because we're eating them. We're killing them, you know? So they talking to each other too. They, you know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you this. Will the Hebrew Israelites come together and change Africa diet? Back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 and Genesis chapter 2, verse 16. You know, will we be the ones to make that shift? We talking about all these animals dying. They doing a lot of slaughtering out here in Africa. Will we be the ones to actually give that, you know, that push to that shift, you know, of what we talking about going into Revelations? You know, will we be that?
Those of us that are woke will to the Nazarene version of Jesus. Because remember, Jeremiah talks about the lying pen of the scribe, how the lying pen of the scribe came in thousands of years ago. There's been a war that has been waged among our ancestors for thousands of years over this topic. They killed Jesus over it. 4 days before his crucifixion. They kind of twisted the him being angry at the temple to mean something it didn't. Jesus came there and he released the animals. He was upset because they were profiting from animal sacrifice, which does nothing to take away from sin. And so, you know, the lying pen of the scribe has distorted a lot because the book of Leviticus, the version that we have that speaks of the clean and unclean, that's a stumbling block for a lot of our brothers. I've seen Brother Palau, and they blowing a trumpet for one of the feast days, and their stomach is so big that the trumpet is almost sitting on their gut. But then you tell them, you know, brother, you're not eating in a righteous manner. And they say, what you talking about? As long as I don't put bacon on my cheeseburger, I'm good. I'm eating clean. So that's a huge stumbling block, because IUIC, they're out here in Kenya. As a matter of fact, Vision Nathaniel, I'm glad he's okay, but he got attacked apparently. But that the lying pen of the scribe, brother, has caused a lot of confusion. And we see even this back and forth in the scriptures, where thousands of years ago, our ancestors, the black African Hebrew Israelites, they were fighting about this. And that's why you had different sects that were formed. And so we have a lot of work to do.
No, I mean, what you say? I mean, this is nothing new going on underneath the sun. You know, back then in the first century, you had these different sects: the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes. You know, which was the group that didn't do sacrifices. You know, they stopped that. So the things that you see, like with the demonic community, with brothers like you know, and other brothers in groups in the faith who's, you know, stepping away from the Levitical meat diet, you know, and to the Genesis, you know, diet is important. It's nothing new under the sun. It's just that now we have to re-implement it in our time, you know, to finish it off. So yeah, for sure, you know, and that's interesting. Let me go ahead and just let's stop it real quick and then just hit it again. Just hit it again. We good? All right. right, so now let me ask you this question. We got 2 more questions, man. This one might get us put off YouTube. Now, Big Pharma, is Big Pharma against the children of Israel and just mankind in general? And then I know your answer with this, but elaborate to the people, how diabolical it is, that Big Pharma has a whole, decree to get us, to basically to destroy us,
Yes.
and doing it in a real wise, evil wise way.
Dr. Layla Africa, may he rest in peace, and he has a book called The Power of Melanin. And the Power of Melanin, and one of his greatest missions was to get us to understand that just as God created a difference between a lion and a tiger, even though they're both big cats, there's a difference. There is a difference between our people and other races. And the failure to understand that difference is why we get more aggressive diseases and die quicker. And I refuse as a preacher to become a coon on that issue. We are different as a people, as an African people, as a melanated people. We are different, and melanin is a gift from God. And all chemistry that Dr. Layla Africa taught, that all of European chemistry is actually based on the study of us, melanin. And so the pharmaceutical drugs are designed to turn off melanin. Yeah, and that's why we suffer from more vicious diseases. And so I always tell people, I always say, listen, all races, creeds, you're welcome to the Minister of Wellness channel, but I am not going to back down from that truth. Yeah. The reason why you can have a white person eat bacon cheeseburger for 20 years and then a black person eat bacon cheeseburger 20 years, but the black person will suffer from worse, more aggressive diseases is because there is a physiological difference. So that is something that I speak about all the time. So of course, Big Pharma, scripturally speaking, is witchcraft and sorcery. So we're not supposed, I tell people all the time, it's a sin if you pop in those pills. I'm not saying to throw the pills away. If you've gotten your body used to taking blood pressure pills, which most of our people are on, aspirins, Tylenol, you have warfarin, which is for blood thinning. If you've gotten yourself on that, you need to seek out a holistic medical doctor. And that is the things, as you stated, we need to try to build. There used to be the only Christian denomination that tried to do what we're talking about, which what we're talking about is health reform. It used to be the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They did try to start that, but they veered off because Ellen G. White, she left too many loopholes. And so what we need to do is that we don't want to use any loopholes. Big Pharma is sorcery. It's witchcraft. Okay, it is a sin. No believer in the Most High, in Jesus, in Yahshua, should be popping pills. We shouldn't even be going to their institutions. As you stated, we should have our own. We're supposed to have our own. But brothers and sisters, if we're eating correctly and supplementing wisely, then we wouldn't be getting sick in the first place. Brother, I can't tell you the last time I've been to a hospital. It's been a long time. I'm trying to think of when brother, I think the last time I probably legitimately went to the hospital, I probably got to go back over 20 years in my days in the Marine.
Bro, most people be like, oh, man, we can't do that, man. We need to get $100,000 first. Oh, man, we need to do this first. Nah, you need to do the work first. Let's do the work first. You know what I'm saying? Then by then, when we're doing the work, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on the way. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure it out. And that's the problem with our people, especially Hebrew Israelites in the States. These camps, I got to say this, they got all this money. All these followings, all this manpower, but yet they not building real institutions. They not building farming institutions. They not building medical institutions. They preach all day on the corner, do all this, but they ain't got no hospital.
They becoming like the church. That's what I told you with Passover. When I go online and I see the Passover celebration, I'm like, what is and Feast of Tabernacles is even worse because now they've turned Feast of Tabernacles into pretty much a week-long Thanksgiving. And now, brother, you know what we used to do during Thanksgiving. You don't eat. You don't stop eating until you can't stand up. And so now Feast of Tabernacles, we doing it for 7 days. So you going to Feast of Tabernacles, you gaining 20, 30 pounds, shooting up your blood. It's ridiculous. So this food issue, I always say, Brother Palau, that the true one world religion is food. I am convinced of that. The brother, on Fridays, I actually health coach black Muslims back in the States.
Okay.
I health coach black Muslims, and it's the same. Minister, what about my blood pressure? What about, and I'm like, brother, I ain't told you what to, it's like whatever group of black folk. I've been the keynote speaker before the conscious community in St. Louis. Now, they believe in the African spirituality, and they'll say, why are you showing up in a suit to conscious community? Whether it's conscious, Hebrew, black, Muslim, I show up the same because I say, until you clean up your inside, until you know how to eat to live, all you're doing is putting a dress on a pig. We have to clean up our inside. If you really believe in black power, then we have to get healthy. Black power must start with a health revolution.
No, that's real. What's the first thing they did when they put us on them slave ships? They fed us slop and all that type of stuff on these ships, and then when we got to the plantations, we ate the what was left left over with what they was eating, and what we had to, and that stuff all that stuff was unclean. You know what I'm saying? 90% of it. So this is something that goes back to even slavery. We have to be able to, reevaluate our mind, reevaluate how we thinking, how we eating, and do this. Like you said, we talking about, melanin power, black power, uniting our people, bettering Africa, you know what I'm saying? It starts with what we eat. You are what you eat. And I want to eat life. So I want to be life. I want to eat life things, you know what I'm saying? I want to eat watermelon. You know what I'm saying? I want to eat things that give me life because I'm trying to, be an example of life to my people. You know what I'm saying? So, very interesting, man. Let me ask you this last question right here. Now, let's see. How can we as a people fight spiritually, mentally, and physically against this poor healthcare system around the world?
It's by changing what we eat, as you stated. It's by changing what we eat. The Apostle Paul, and I won't go into some of the issues I have.
Yeah, man, I got issues too.
But look, I love how Apostle Paul, he states this perfect scripture in 1 Corinthians 10:31. He said, listen, here's the conclusion. Whatever you eat, whatever you drink, whatever you do it to the glory of God. Boom.
Glory of the Most High.
So you tell me how fried chicken is glorifying God. When you sit down and eat, or you glorifying God, or you glorifying the rumblings of your stomach? And we all know what the answer is. I love that one scripture because he backs himself into a corner with that one. Because in 2025, you can't put a dead animal in your mouth, and that includes chicken and fish, and tell me you're doing it to glorify God. You can't. So you in violation of that biblical principle. And if you're doing something that's not glorifying God, you remove yourself from God's protection. So don't be surprised when the disease comes. When the scriptures say in Proverbs 3:5-8 that if we trust in the Lord, if we acknowledge the Lord, if the Lord directs us, if we depart from evil, it brings health. So there should be no such thing as somebody claiming to be a believer and you don't have health. If you don't have health, you have stepped outside of that principle of whatever I do, it is to glorify God. And if you don't add the food and the diet in there, then you're not glorifying God. And that's when you can get situations like my father, the most religious man I've ever known. Oh, I'm going to give up cigarettes for Jesus, alcohol for Jesus, sexual immorality for Jesus. You did all of that religiosity. But because you did not want to correct the most important thing, the thing that you all believe brought sin into the world, which is eating what we're not supposed to be eating. You don't want to correct that, and you will end up in a hospital under satanic people, and you'll be depending on them for healing. And it's the same, as you stated, for too many of our Israelite brothers and sisters out there suffering with their health. Because of this stronghold, this animal flesh, brother, it's a stronghold. It is a demonic spirit upon our people. And as you stated, we got to start healing, and the more healing success stories that spreads, I believe, we'll be able to make a strong mark with the health reformation.
Right on, bro. Right on, man. You gonna ruffle some feathers when I drop this one, man. But hey, it is what it is. You know, we have to be able to, you know, stand up for what's right. And like you're saying, you know, the only way we can really, you know, change this dynamics when it comes to the poor healthcare, the first and foremost thing we need to do is change how we eat and how we what we perceive as food. You know, so very interesting, man, and it was, you know, wonderful to have you again, my brother. You know, man, let's keep doing this work out here in Africa, and let's work together and keep doing, you know, more great works. You know what I'm saying?
And one more thing, and I know this will be, you know, controversial. I tell people I'm the most radical extremist health preacher in the world. And so you have to look at it as a salvational issue. If we want to make a transformation, look at it as a salvational issue. My health is a salvational issue. I have to do this for the Lord. This is I don't have an option. When I choose to glut, when I choose to do what I'm not supposed to do, I am sinning. And by choosing to sin is going to bring about death to my body, which means death to my mission and my goals and my purpose. Is that the will of the Lord? For you to spend your last days sick, in and out of a hospital? Absolutely not.
Nah, that's real, man. That's true, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you, my brother. And you know, on the behalf of the Children's Bread NGO, you know, I just want to thank you for having me here, man.
Sir.
And we'll have many more, man.
Yes, sir.
Many more, my brother. All right, man. Shalom. Peace.